Before we get into the video, I need you guys to do me a favour. Number 1, like the video. Also comment. Let me know your thoughts on the case. 24-year-old Mohammed Qasim was said to be a drug addict, so much so that he found it hard to function and he was at the mercy of drug dealers. Not wanting to pay for his gear, he was influenced to hatch a plan to rob his dealer, 43-year-old Richard Hopley. Now Mohammed Qasim, along with Nicholas Stallard and Paul Hayes, had called their dealer Richard Hopley to an address near Selly Oak, Birmingham, on September 22, 2022. Waiting for more than an hour, Richard arrived at the address in his Volkswagen Passat. Now Mohammed Qasim sat in the front seat, and the two men began to talk. Mohammed then took out a blade and then turned it in Richard's direction, who was preparing the gear. Now Mohammed demanded the drugs. Now instead of complying, Richard grabbed Mohammed and the two tussled. The car lost control and veered onto the grass verge. Mohammed, who's from the Solly area of Birmingham, was mad and agitated. After all, he had been directed to rob Richard at the request of a rival dealer. And then Mohammed demanded the drugs and also the cash. Now Nicholas Stallard heard the commotion and ran towards the Volkswagen Passat, leaning into the window to get the keys from the ignition. Richard actually reversed the car at that point. Now you had Mohammed with a blade pointed at Richard reversing the car, and Nicholas hanging onto the window, being dragged backwards. Paul Hayes then arrived and then smashed that window. At some point during the robbery, Mohammed stabbed Richard in the side with so much force that he cut the rib and pierced the heart. After the brutal M, Mohammed ran off and so did the rest of the gang. Injured, Richard drove away but collapsed at the wheel a short distance away and crashed into a parked Mercedes. Mohammed then packed his bags and he took a one-way flight to Pakistan, but returned a year later after he established a story that would omit him from any M charge. Mohammed was arrested and told police he had accidentally stabbed Richard while he was trying to defend himself and Richard from robbers that were trying to take the car. However, police knew Mohammed was an addict and had been influenced by Richard's rival, another dealer, to rob Richard for the cash and the drugs, and it proved fatal. Now that dealer has never been caught and police believe that he's also fled the country to Pakistan as well. Mohammed was jailed for life for the M. Nicholas Stallard and Paul Hayes were jailed for manslaughter. Condolences. Stay safe.